My downstairs Karen neighbor called the police on me while I was sleeping, so I bought liquid farts and made her life hell. I, 26 million, moved into a new apartment not even a month ago. There were no issues for the first week. I moved here from a different state for an amazing job opportunity. I work in tech, and this job allows me to be creative while receiving a generous salary. I later learned why the first week had been too quiet. It was because my Karen neighbor had been on vacation. When she got back, she immediately decided that I needed to go. I was listening to music on my phone and putting away some laundry when I heard a knock at the door. I opened it to find a woman in her mid-60s with bleached blonde hair that had seen too many years of curler use. Her excessive perfume wafted into my apartment when I opened the door, and I swear a plant died instantly. Her wrinkled face had seen too much sun on that vacation, and she had blended an absurd amount of makeup to match that hue of tanned leather. With a smile that did not quite reach her eyes, she jumped right in her demand that I keep the noise down. She said that retirees live in this building and are not used to loud noises even during the day. If I kept it up, she would be forced to call the landlord, who, according to her, was a longtime family friend. With that, she turned and headed down the stairs. I didn't even get a chance to say hello. About an hour later, I got a call from the landlord. He asked if I could turn down my music so that the neighbors didn't complain. I told him I was only listening to music on my phone. I didn't have any kind of external speakers, soundbar, or anything like that. There is no way neighbors heard it through the walls. He sighed like he was putting down a tremendous weight. He said, "I believe you 100%. Just try to keep it down if you could." Sorry to disturb you. Bye. And he hung up before I could say anything else. The next day I was cleaning the floor and I heard a thumping sound against the floor. You guessed it. Like an old TV show, she was actually using a broom or something to hit her ceiling to get me to be quiet. About 30 minutes later, I got another phone call from the landlord. The neighbors say you are doing some kind of exercise in the apartment and trampling the floor very loudly. This time I spoke up. I was cleaning the floor, nothing else, and it took about 30 minutes. Same sigh. Then he apologized for calling again and hung up. I started my new job, and the first few days were brutal. I came home showered and went to sleep. The next weekend I was at home and had to get all of the housework done. Around mid-afternoon, I went for a walk to get to know the neighborhood. When I got back, there was a typed letter taped to my door. In it, there was a list of all of my noise violations I had made. The date stated from the time Karen came back from her vacation and had today's noise complaints listed as well. At the bottom was a threat that if I had any more complaints, a formal eviction process would begin. No return address and no signature. I immediately called the landlord and asked about the letter. I could hear him move away from the phone so he could shout a colorful four-letter word as many times in succession as he could until he felt better. When he got back on the line, he started by apologizing and letting me know that he did not write that, and no one of any consequence had written it. He broke down and admitted that my apartment had been empty for 8 months because he had to wait for Karen to leave before he could try to rent it out again. That's why the listing had mentioned that a tenant was urgently needed. He showed the apartment to the first person who showed up, me, and even gave me much lower rent than what he wanted to take, since I also needed to move in as soon as possible. He said that Karen had lived there so long that the legal process to kick her out would be almost impossible. The last tenants had only lasted in my apartment for around 6 months. They made a deal with the landlord that if he would cancel the lease with no consequences, then they would forfeit their deposit and just leave peacefully. I don't want to leave this apartment because the price is amazing for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I have my bedroom, a home office, chess game room, and a guest room for when friends or family come to visit. I asked him how we could fix the situation. He told me that I could do anything I wanted to get her to shut up or move out. Anything legal, of course, without disturbing the other tenants. Challenge accepted.